Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 2 of the Go Mode Link to the Past Randomizer Ambrosia Tournament, Mentor Tournament. I'm Yoko, and joining me up here in the booth to call the action today is McMonkey. Welcome.
Thank you. We got a good matchup today. A couple of 0-1 players looking for redemption this week.
So this is a standard seed, and we will be giving the sort to start off with. Standard rules apply. Find 7 crystals, take down Ganon, and Uncle will tell us where the boots. Believe this move, and the Uncle will still tell us where the boots are. And in this round, we have Professor Reindeer and their mentor Etium versus Mochajones with their mentor TheDaddyGamers. So as we getting ready to start off the race here, what kind of seed are you expecting to see here from our racers tonight?
Well, I know both racers are aiming to get for a sub 2. In Mochajones' case, he's aiming to get his first sub 2, so I'm sure they're hoping for a Hyrule Castle boots hint or something early in the seed so they can get a lot of speed. We'll see what shakes out. Hopefully they can route this pretty clearly with their mentors cheering them on.
Right. So, and also, I like to ask this a lot too. What item do you expect to find in the first chest, the one at Link's house?
You know, it's hard to bet against the 20 rupees, the big 20.
I'll go with that as well too. Yeah. Probably some early money help us for the bottle vendor and going to Zora.
You know, it just feels more comfortable to have a little walking around money.
Right.
We got a couple of sprites here that I didn't know ahead of time, but I managed to ask these guys what they were planning to run with, and I wouldn't have recognized these two without their input. But we've got the Cadence from Cadence of Hyrule on Professor Renderer's side, and Sailor Moon on Mochajones' side.
You know, with so many characters that we now have in the randomizer, you can really truly make the Link sprite whatever you truly feel like with.
Yeah, and if there are any aspiring sprite artists out there, I know Mochajones is lobbying for Sailor Mercury to be added so that he can run with that one too.
There's a few I would like to see added into that as well from a few of my favorite animes as well. And we are off. And the boots are in the light world to start off with.
Not a bad hint. There are a couple of nasty locations that qualify as light world, but in general, I think that they're probably feeling pretty optimistic about that hint.
And we get a quick early map check and a piece of heart in the very first chest of the game. And it looked like Tower of Hera was the green pendant.
Yeah, and it looked like Eastern Palace was also a pendant, with Desert being the only light world crystal today.
Right. So we're looking for the book or some form to get in there. And we have another. Uncle gives us a piece of his heart.
It's a sweet, sad story.
Right.
There's the 20 rupees. We were only off by a couple of checks.
Right. So pretty standard here. So what's going to happen normally if you're new to randomizer, our runners have to make their way through Hyrule Castle, go down, save Princess Zelda, and bring her to the sanctuary. So that takes normally about 6 6 minutes 45, about 6:45, depending on that. And right now we're also gonna, hopefully our racers will be likely to pick up some bombs that'll help get the 3 chests in the back part of escape.
Yeah, that's right. That'll really help with the routing later, because those checks that they'll be walking right by on their way through escape are going to be a little trickier to get back to later on.
So 2 keys right now.
Mochajones duking it out with the blue guard there, putting up a good fight.
And that pot will always have a piece of heart in there if needed. You come down that way and you find yourself with, 2 hearts or 1, always pick up that pot there. Professor Reindeer doing a little bit of a spit towards spin speed there. Defeating that blue.
And just a single piece of heart from picking up a much appreciated extra heart container here.
Right.
Early health is always appreciated, especially for newer runners.
Right. All right. And we have the map.
So nothing of much interest so far. I'm sure they're hoping for something of a little more value when they get to Dark Cross.
Right. And the good thing about randomizer is if you do not have the torch to the lamp to start off with going back there, it gives you the cone of light to start off with, so you are able to see going back there the first time.
And if I am remembering correctly, I believe that even if they came back later in the game without the lamp after the escape sequence, they'd still have the light cone in the castle. Is that right?
I think so, yes. So this being...
So no luck so far on finding bombs. It seems the guards are giving out arrows today instead of bombs. So they're going to be looking for the rats down in the sewers as their last chance to get some bombs, plus the Dark Cross check.
Yeah, that's all part of one of the higher up prize packs. It can also be in a tree pool too. So we don't find any bombs here, we can always come back once we get the gloves and
Pretty standard opening sequence here, although I'm a little surprised Professor Renderer didn't attack any of the rats on the way through there.
right.
And only another big 20 in the Dark Cross, so unless these rats are coughing up bombs soon, they're going to be without the last 3 checks here in Hyrule Castle.
Right now, just pieces of heart. We got 2 more rooms, maybe 3 more rooms where we can find the... Go into the big rat room here. That rat always on the left will have the key, and nope, not today.
With 2 rats in a row giving out hearts, that means that it is not the prize pack containing bombs, and so I think Ren doing a good job here, not wasting any more time killing rats on the way out.
Right. We'll find out what they are. We'll find out what those 3 chests are later on, hopefully. And 50 rupees in the sank chest.
So no bombs, but a bomb gift card, if you will.
Right. So now from here, we'll probably see the standard play, Lumberjack to Lost Woods to Kakariko Village.
Yeah, that really gives the most option to get bombs with the tree pole and the rupee crab along the way. If their mentor is really on top of things, they could get a couple extra kills to get a different tier on the tree pole, and we can really get 2 shots with the tree pole to get some bombs.
Right. Well, 20 rupees on that tree pole, and the prize crab giving out arrows. On top of the cave ledge, we have a piece of heart.
So walking into Kakariko without any bombs is not the end of the world. But the question comes whether you take a chance in the well or in blinds, hoping to get bombs from the checks you have access to, or whether you just go down and buy. Is there a way you tend to lean, Yoko?
Depends. Some last seed I got lucky finding bombs down at the bottom of the Thieves' Hideout, and we find blue mail.
And a very quick save and quit.
Yeah. We're starting right back at Link's house.
Perhaps this is a south route check to be able to farm bombs at the south of the Flute Grove.
Now he's making his way over to the bottom way into Kakariko Village.
Oro asking in chat what the boot scent was. We got a Light World boot scent this.
Oh, I know what he was doing. I know what Professor was doing. He was trying to cut down those bushes, because those bushes sometimes contain those bombs. And Fire Rod at the race gate.
Yeah, there are 2 bushes at the bottom of the Flute Grove there that have a 50-50 shot of producing a bomb each time. It's a pretty popular spot for farming bombs.
And flippers in the library.
So definitely a couple items that he's going to have to circle back to pick up.
Right. So now we begin our clear of Kakariko Village. Mocha picking up, well, there's the shovel. And Mocha picked up that piece of heart as well that Professor passed up on. Goes into the hut and buys the 10 bombs.
Yeah, with already having picked up 3 pieces of heart, picking up the 4th one to get another heart container early seems like a pretty wise move.
Into the world famous chicken hut. And what do we have hiding in the chest? A Master Sword.
Yeah, that'll really help with killing some enemies around the world, although it is the beginning of the dreaded AGA gift card pack here. So what they don't want to see is a lamp coming up. Then it's signs start pointing to AGA, which is not something anybody wants to do early.
And bombs in the bottom of the well. So that's where they were hiding. And Titan's Mitt. So we got a little bit of Dark World access. Just need the Moon Pearl. There's the book. So, book and Titan's Mitt in the bottom of the well.
Yeah, so for Dark World access, we'd need the Moon Pearl and either the other glove or the hammer.
Right. And chat pointing out we do want to see the lamp because that'll give us the... Well, they want lamp in the back 3, chat, in one of the 3 chests in the back of Escape. There's the boots. So both players now have the boots, so we can go get that item from the library.
Yeah, and despite the different routes, we had a momentary sync back up there.
Right. Professor picking up the remaining of the rupees. So there's one check left, but we don't have a bottle for it, so we can't go check Sick Kid.
But both our runners are going to be able to stop by the library and pick up those flippers, which will open a few more checks for them as well.
Right. That'll open up Lake Hylia, so we can go check Hobo.
And with the glove, that also opens back up the option of Houlihan, even with the flippers. So if they wanted to pick up some Zora money, and their mentors were feeling, and the runners were feeling brave, they could try that out. Yeah, and Leoria pointing out that with this fire rod pickup at the maze race, we'll have Desert Palace fully beatable and in logic.
Right. So let's see where we go. Are we gonna do the...
Looks like Ren is walking at least to the shovel spot. I wouldn't be surprised to see them continue straight on to Desert Palace after that.
That seems to be the way the seed is pointing them going to Desert Palace, and we dig up 20 rupees. We dig up 20 rupees.
I wouldn't be disappointed with finding $20 buried in my backyard, but I can't imagine that they're thrilled about that.
Zora money, but still. And we are getting a... going over to the dam. Piece of heart in the chest.
So you mentioned the book and the fire rod pointing us towards Desert Palace. How much do you read into what seeds are telling you versus, going based on your standard routes, muscle memory?
I go by my gut. I check by item density. I'll start out doing all the overworld checks that I can do. And then if the seed's starting to tell me, go check here, I tend to go do that.
So it seems Ren and Etium agreeing with you on that front for now, going for the higher density mini Moldorm cave here.
Right. Oh, there's a bottle. More bombs. Piece of heart. 300 rupees. So we have Zora. Professor?
Close enough to Zora money, and going to Ice Rod Cave next, they'll be able to pick up the rock there and pick up some rupees to get them up to Zora money pretty easily.
$33. He's Professor at least $33 away from Zora money. You got to be careful of those crabs, though. Those crabs do at least 2 hearts worth of damage.
Yeah, they are on blue mail now, so they're a little bit less dangerous, but still you don't want to bump into them too many times.
And there's a blue cane.
Which is a very nice safety for, especially for runners who are a little newer or a little less confident in their low percentage.
Right. And goes back out and resets. So Professor now having Zora money.
Heading back into Ice Rod Cave here to set up a water walk, which will make the traversal of Lake Hylia a little quicker. And we've got some route divergence here with Mocha going over to the desert area.
Going up to go check out Sahashala. And we get from water walking to fake to the swimming now. I was gonna say
unfortunate with the flippers there.
yeah. I was gonna say fake flipper, but we already had the flippers. And we steal Agina's hot box. And the hobo gives us a shield. Piece of heart on the ledge. So yeah, this is Professor doing exactly how I like to start out. Doing all the overworld checks that I can.
Yeah, it's really showcasing two styles of routing here, with Professor Renderer being a little more thorough in his checks, and Mochajones being more aggressive, going right for the available crystal.
Right. A full heart container and money. We got a key up on the torch over in Desert Palace. So it's time to see what we get on the Zora ledge, and from Zora we have more bombs.
Stashing a lot of bombs in Zora's domain today.
Yep. Mocha picking up another 300 rupees. Professor looks like gonna be making their way over the desert.
Yeah, so the decision paying off a little bit early for Mocha, although it's hard to imagine that he wouldn't go do flipper checks at some point. So the time
Right.
that Professor Renderer lost there will probably be reclaimed once Mocha makes his way over there. Although by waiting, he does have the opportunity to route it in with Catfish later on in the seed.
Right. That tends to happen a lot too.
BumRush said he didn't realize that you could water walk with flippers. It is very handy for that exact scenario where you can get to Hobo quite a bit faster. Although it's very hard to remember that you can't dash over the shallow water like you can when you don't have flippers, which is what happened to Professor Renderer there to cause him to revert back to swimming.
Right.
So a pretty quick Desert Palace here for Mocha. He's already in the back, already heading towards Landmo, with a fire rod in hand. He may be able to use that to take down Landmo, although it still may be a little longer fight than usual.
Pretty straightforward, and we do have that the green goo, so full magic reheal for the green stuff.
That's an excellent point, and that'll really help to make use of that fire rod.
Right. And magic refills under one of those jars. That'll definitely come in handy with the land mole fight. Reverting to in slashes against land mole.
Yeah, not sure if he forgot that he has the green goo or if he's just saving it. Oh, there he goes, taking it out now. This is where it helps to have a mentor looking over your shoulder to help point out these things that may slip your mind in the heat of a race.
A fire and a slash. Down goes Landmo on Mocha's side for the Moon Pearl.
A very nice prize.
Right. Now, the other thing about the ambrosia seeds are that the bosses will always have an item.
That is also one of the hardest things to remember about ambrosia seeds when routing dungeons.
Right. So the bosses will never have the map, a key, the big key, or the compass. They will always have an item for you to continue. And Professor making their way up. Mocha saving, quitting, restarting over at the Sanctuary.
Yeah, I imagine this is a Bonk Rocks check, followed by either the 3 checks in sewer that they missed, or heading up the mountain. They can sequence break up and get a couple checks up there.
Right. We can only do right now we can only do the cave and saving the old man.
Yeah, that's a good point. So making it a little bit less attractive than it might otherwise be.
Right. So we're gonna finally get a chance to see what was in those 3 checks. There we go. Having a little trouble.
Mocha's deep head fighting him all the way.
Yeah. Alright, what do we got in those 3 chests? We have 20 rupees, 10 arrows, and magic powder. So now there's one of 2 places. There's one place that we can go. We can go over to Desert and check out, Eastern Palace, and go check out what Sahashala has in his area. So we can get the 3 chests back behind him. And then we can also go into Eastern Palace itself and at least, see if we can get an item, progression item in one of the chests.
Yeah, that's right. So there's, 2, maybe 3 items available in Eastern, depending on if one is in the big key chest, which currently is out of logic at the moment.
Right. But as of right now, it looks like we are being pointed to the direction of Agana. We could have an Agana steed here.
Yeah, which is not something anybody really loves to do.
No, that's 5 minutes climbing. That's 5 minutes climbing up and everything.
Mocha heading over to do the Zora checks that Professor Renderer's already done.
Right.
The call to go for Aghanim or not is always a tough one when the seed seems to be pointing you that direction, although they still need at least a lamp to put Aga in logic. So
right.
Once they've finished clearing each other's checks here, I imagine we'll see them head towards Eastern, and then we're bound to find either the lamp, another set of gloves, or the hammer over there.
Right. We're hoping to find, the hammer or the gloves up the hammer and the lamp. Those are That's what we're looking for right now. So let's see what we have.
Looks like Professor Ender is on his way to raid Sahasrala's closet now.
Right.
And Mocha taking an interesting routing for the Hobo and Zora checks, splitting them up like this. I'm not sure that's something I've seen before.
And in the back of Sahashala, we find the hammer and the bow and arrows. So we got
that's doubly good news for these guys.
Right.
However, with Eastern being a pendant now, there's no sense in going in and trying to clear it. We've got Dark World access, so I imagine we'll see them either head right to Hype Cave or Village of Outcasts.
Right. Well, Professor looks like he's going to treat us to a Hype Cave, and we'll get a chance to check out the map as well. Now, the other good thing about Desert is that it's a 5/6 crystal. Palace of Darkness is our red crystal, and our other 5/6 crystal is ice, with everything else being crystal dungeons.
Yeah, unfortunate picking up the bow there and having both dungeons that are now full clearable with it as pendants.
Right. Tends to happen. And we get the Titan's Mitt. Single
That's a
rupee.
very convenient place to pick those up because it'll allow them to route the south checks into Dig Game and go right up into Village of Outcasts.
Right. And we have the hammer, so we can also check out Pyramid as well, too.
Which is what it looks like Professor Renderer is on his way to do.
As he circles around to the hammer.
You know, those early menus are a game in and of itself.
I know when I do it, I like manipulating it to the L and R button, so I can just fast toggle it, so I don't have to worry about bringing down the menu.
Yeah, we need to start a petition to bring Quick Swap into more general acceptance.
And I did not get to see what we had on Pyramid.
Yeah, that was too quick for me as well. Clearly nothing of value because he's just running on away from it.
Right. Chat saying Hype Cave 10 out of 10 tonight. And also Piece of Heart up there on the Pyramid Ledge. So Professor heading over to do Catfish.
Yeah, after already doing the Zora area, Catfish has the potential to be pretty orphaned up here, so not a bad decision if you're feeling like you want to be thorough in your checks. Coming up to Catfish will get it off of your mind.
Right. And it's one check less that we have to worry about routing back in, because it's all about the routing. And Catfish gives us the Ice Rod.
So this Catfish play really paying off.
Yeah.
We'll see if Mochajones is able to get up to Catfish. That could be a check that bites him in the end if he holds it off for too long.
And it looked like $20 from Stumpy. So we're over at the Dig Game, and
of course, the Dig Game item being on a randomized number of digs, up to 30, I believe, and using almost all of those today.
For 20 rupees. So we turn the bottle into Sick Kid, and we get 50 rupees. Yes, Dig Game will always allow us to have the item. So, but it's always a random number of digs every seed. So Mocha saving and quitting, we have the Swordsmith and Professor making their way up into Skull Woods. Since we have the Fire Rod, we can actually beat this dungeon.
Yeah, I like this play with Skull Woods and Thieves Town, both beatable, to start up at Skull Woods and then route down into the village and see what progression you get along the way.
And we're getting a King's Tune check over on Mocha's side for the flute.
Quite a nice find, and Jeremiah getting a very nice world tour today.
Right. Professor trying to do a bomb jump. Got the big key for the red cane, the cane of Samaria. So you got the cane of Burnin, the cane of Samaria over on Professor's side.
And he immediately leaves Skull Woods, knowing that the only other item in Skull Woods is going to be on the boss, with this being Ambrosia.
Right. But Mocha releasing the goose at 33 minutes into the seed. The goose is loose. So
with that flute, there's only a couple items left for these runners to be in go mode. Although some of those checks might be harder for them to stumble upon.
Right, but the thing is, we don't know what Mire and Turtle Rock are yet. So...
yeah, so we have potentially a couple pendants to pick up, along with the mirror and the hook shot.
Right. Mirror needed for Swamp Palace, hook shot needed for Mire. And what do we get for for helping the Swordsmith? We get a piece of heart. And Professor using the powder to turn that one...
yeah, the anti-fairy there, yeah.
No, the anti-fairies are the red ones.
Oh, so maybe I don't know the name of the yellow beams. Maybe someone in chat can fill us in.
Bunny beams, we call them.
There you go.
Yeah. And from the Mad Batter, we get the hook shot. So the bat has the hook shot.
Yeah, that early powder paying off. One of the rules of thumb is that if you get a fetch quest early, it's more likely to have some progression, and maybe Daddy Gamers let Mochajones know that he should go check that earlier rather.
Right. But Professor taking down Mothula for his second crystal.
Very nice fight. With only 6 hearts, that's an intimidating fight against Mothula.
Right. Especially when he's over those spikes, because those spikes negate any damage to Mothula. Treasure chest game time for the bug nut.
Well, that along with the powder will be a nice safety for them to have, but it doesn't open anything up for them.
Nope. So going into the sea house. Heart. So Mocha doing a lot of the clearing out of Thieves Town. So we got 10 hours on Bumper Cave Ledge.
Yeah, Mocha finishing up the Village of Outcast checks here with hammer pegs. I'm curious to see whether he'll pick up the purple chest or whether he'll hop into Thieves Town or Skull Woods next.
And there is our Quake medallion. Still don't know what we need to get into Turtle Rock or Misery Mire. But
Yeah, and without that knowledge, they'll be happy to see any medallions they can find.
Right. Into the bombable hut now we go. 20 rupees.
Yeah, and the good news here for Professor Renderer is since he had already taken the southern route and cleared out Dig Game and Stumpy, the logical way for him to leave Village of Outcasts is going to be on the northern route, which might lead him along towards King's Tomb. Although now as I say that, I realize they don't have the mirror, so that's not going to help him much.
Right. Graveyard Ledge also. So we have Mocha going into Thieves Town. Yeah, Thieves Town dungeon. Second chest, we have the map.
And we're looking for 4 items here in Thieves Town. Of course, 3 of them will be in the main dungeon. One of them on Blind himself.
And one of them will always be the big key.
That's right, one of the first 4 checks in order to get them into the back. So we've got 2 items in the front of the dungeon, which means we're looking for 1 more between the attic and the basement.
Right. And we get the red boomerang.
Are you Team Red Boomerang or Team Blue Boomerang?
Ooh, I'm Team Red.
You picked the right team.
Yeah. I tried using one in real life. I could never get them to... never figure out how to use one.
Yeah, Link really makes it look easy. Link and Sailor Moon and Cadence all. They seem to get the knack pretty quickly.
Right. And Mocha down to 2.
Yeah, wisely
Not
trying
bad.
to refill before the Hellway coming up.
Right.
Just a bit off on the God Pixel there, but he makes it through fairly easily.
I always hate that one creature.
I'll give him a 4 out of 7 on that.
I'll give him a 4.5. Alright, we're up into the attic. And we have
Some
Time
dead
out.
crickets to begin with.
right. Ten hours.
So no need to check the big key chest. That'll save a little bit of time if they can remember.
Right.
The big chest, that is. I think Blind Cell is one of the hardest checks to skip, even knowing that there's nothing in there. Just the muscle.
Right. Trying to get that anti-fairy. There we go. Come on.
Oh,
Yeah.
there'll be one more opportunity to pick up a fairy down in the cells. We've got a bunny beam that can be powdered and caught, and that'll be a really nice safety to have for the blind fight if they're not.
The blind is always scripted.
Like any good show, it's scripted until it gets off script, and then
the points don't matter. Okay.
we've got some agile fairies today.
Yep.
Freddie asking if there are good things to do to participate in the tournament. The tournament is already set with a full slate of 64 runners for this year. I imagine that the tournament will run again next year, so my advice would be to keep running. Join the Go Mode Podcast Discord, ask questions, and be ready once signups start again next year.
And there's always the Link to the Past randomizer Discord channel. A lot of good people in there, always willing to help out new people and everything.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to the community myself, and I've been really impressed with how welcoming and helpful everybody's been in my short time doing Rando.
And Mocha taking a death on the blind fight.
Yeah, those fairies dodging his net are really a disappointment for him right now, because he's going to have to spend a little bit of time getting back there. Blind is going to be off script from the beginning, so this is not the end of the world. It's a little setback, and hopefully he can persevere through and get him the second time.
So Professor checking out the big chest just for the compass. Just for the sake of it.
Yeah, really easy to lose track of the item count, whether you're playing Ambrosia or just in general. So it's hard to fault, especially a new runner, forgetting how many items have already been found.
And there are trackers out there that help out with all of that, to keep track of that. Now, Professor having... And Blind always gives us some random fact.
Usually in pun form.
Right.
Yeah, and Professor Renderer here pulling out the safety that would be my choice in a low percent blind fight, that blue cane.
That or, yep. I'd be doing the same thing too, pulling out the blue cane.
Although he doesn't end up needing it. He takes down Blind with 3 hearts remaining.
All for 20 rupees.
And the all-important crystal.
Right. Okay. Puts him up to the 3rd crystal. So he's needing 3. Mocha taking another death in Thieves Town.
Yeah, Mocha's struggling to get himself a fairy here. I think he wants to pick up a safety before he has another shot at Blind. And, at this point, his mentor probably telling him we can come back and fight Blind when we have a little bit more health.
There's no shame in double dipping if you don't feel confident doing that fight right now. Doesn't have the blue cane safety that Professor had, but...
Yeah, especially once you take that first death, it's going to be the same amount of time to get back to Blind, whether you have more hearts and safeties or you try it now.
So Professor doing their pig cave check. Mocha heading over to the mire area, so we'll get a look at what we need to get into mire. It is ether. So we need... Go ahead.
I like this play from Mocha, pressing the advantage of finding the flute in an unlikely location. They can reasonably think that Professor Renderer isn't going to check that soon, and so see if you can find something else from the flute to push you a little further ahead.
So also our runners avoiding Death Mountain for right now. A lot of checks up there. We got the... Well, I spoke too soon.
And Mocha may be listening.
Right. Either that or the key.
No, it was the obvious play to go up to, now
Yeah.
with the hook shot, he can get
What?
all of East Death Mountain. He's got the mitts to get Dark Death Mountain. So this was the obvious play next.
So, also doing this in the dark. I am never good at dark rooms. I try to avoid them like third period French.
Yeah, I think the key is you just close your eyes in addition to being in the dark room, and that it's like a double negative and it cancels out.
Right. But we do have the sword beams, so they do help us out.
Ren doing his dig marathon.
And we get the blue boomerang. So we have both boomerangs now.
Team Blue Boomerang represent. Looks like Professor Renderer thinking over the routing, maybe discussing it with his mentor here, trying to decide what the next option is, and opting for the Smith sequence, at least the beginning of the Smith sequence.
Right. Full heart container on top of Spectacle Rock.
That'll be nice when he can get it, but it's not accessible at the moment. And again, without the blue cane here, Spike Cave is not really in logic for Mocha, but once Professor Renderer heads up the mountain, he'll be able to get that one additional check.
Right. So we're going to start off with checking Paradox Cave.
The MC Escher drawing of Link to the Past.
Yeah. So 2 chests down here, 10 arrows, 20 rupees.
And Professor Renderer heading right to King's Tomb with the Smith, the same as Mochajones did, so he'll pick up his flute here. Convenient routing, picking up the flute on your way to the village to drop off the Smith.
Right. There's the mirror. The mirror was in Paradox Cave. So Mocha picking up the mirror. Mocha also setting up for now the bomb jump across the gap.
Yeah, that mirror putting Swamp Palace fully in logic.
So from here, Mocha's probably going to go over to Spiral Cave.
And convenient picking up the lamp, right, or the mirror, right when spotting the lamp on Floating Island. Looks like we've got an ether tablet check coming up.
Chat pointing out we are an ether away from no mode. No mode is a little bit better. No mode is like that step right above go mode. We know what we need to get. We just don't know where it is.
Still got to check that Turtle Rock pendant and see what we've got there.
And we get 50 rupees for busting the ether's tablet.
Who says crime doesn't pay?
Right. So we're not having a Spiral Cave check. We're going over to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, this will allow him to do the Super Bunny Cave from the top, which is a little bit faster. He can do Hook Shot and Mirror at the top of Spiral Cave and save himself just a little bit of time.
And it's a double Quake.
BumRush seeing the future with his ether away from no mode.
Right. So that's the double Quake. We are looking for the Quake medallion for both of those.
That's Ether.
Oh,
And
Ether,
Professor
yeah.
Renderer picking up his hookshot at Magic Bat.
And Mocha picking up their tempered sword. That's right. I'm getting my dungeons confused. I'm getting my pendants confused. I apologize.
Yeah, that tempered is really a nice step up from Master Sword. I think, yeah, anytime I see the tempered sword, I breathe a sigh of relief about the upcoming Ganon fight with or without silver arrows.
I know, I always have like the knack of finding the silver arrows.
As long as I'm not fighting Ganon with a Master Sword, I'm happy.
Right. Yeah, that's why we have the practice ROM and everything else.
Yeah, and a shout out to all the mentors in this tournament who have been extremely helpful on the Discord, in the races, helping these runners, myself included, to find areas of improvement and suggesting the most efficient way to go about that improvement, such as using the practice ROM or doing races or VOD reviews. They really put a lot of work into this tournament, and speaking as one of the racers, we very much appreciate the work that's put into this.
So, well, there's the lamp. So that puts dark rooms in logic now. And we're going to need that for the bottom, and we would need that for the bottom of Mire. For the Mire basement.
Kupo commenting that Ice Palace is the play right now. It does seem like the most palatable of the dungeons that are available.
And it also seems to be like what the logic is pointing us.
Although for Mocha, not having picked up that Cane of Samaria yet, Ice Palace is quite a bit slower, assuming that both runners know Icebreaker.
Right. Still learning that one myself.
Yeah, both these runners indicated that they're comfortable with it ahead of the race in a short chat I had with them.
I still feel a little, it's learning them and everything. So Mocha picking up some blue goo safety that restores both magic and health.
Yeah, with some of the tougher dungeons still to go, I think that's a good call.
Right. And Mocha said almost completed the first row of hearts as well.
It looks like Mocha going for Swamp Palace without this Cane of Samaria.
Right. Chad also pointing. 20 rupees on the Spectacle Rock Cave.
Yeah, BumRush pointing out the ice rod that Professor Renderer has is in a location that Mochajones might orphan for quite a long time at Catfish there.
Right.
The runners seem to be doing pretty well, being decisive in their routing. The execution is quite good so far, so no major mistakes. We had the death on blind, but beyond that, everything has been pretty solid so far for these runners. That
First chest in Swamp Palace will always have the key. Now the trick here is we want to find all the items that we can on the right side. We don't You don't want to go left side. That can kill us. That can kill time as well. That can be a time killer right there. Having to go left side Swamp Palace.
Yeah, so that compass being in the first real check of Swamp Palace is not what you're looking for.
No.
And with this many items still to go for Mocha, you have to imagine he's going to be looking to do left side swamp if it has anything left over there. Professor Renderer making his way through the Death Mountain checks, spotting his lamp that he'll soon have possession of.
Yeah, 50 rupees. And Swamp Palace is one of those item density dungeons. We don't have the big key yet, so we can't check that. And Swamp also being one of those dungeons where we kind of don't need the big key.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of runners have a love-hate relationship with Swamp. There's a lot of item density here, but it's not a very fast dungeon to clear, and a lot of people like to put it off as long as possible with the hopes of being able to go mode it. As you mentioned, you don't need to find a big key. You can go straight to the boss in go mode, but it's also hard to pass up on a dungeon with so many items available, 6 items available.
Well, there's the big key and there's the bomb, so we know for a fact that Mocha is probably going to come back in. Hopefully. We got 2 chests left on our way to check to Argus.
Yeah, having found the compass up front, there'll be at least 1 item on the left side, possibly 2.
Well, there's the arrows.
So just 1 item on the left side, with the map being the other one.
Right. It also all depends on what we have on Argus, too.
Shoutouts to that room being the only one in the game that has water currents.
Right. Mocha making quick work of the puffs.
Yeah, that tempered sword really paying off here. Two spins will do it.
There's 1. And down goes Argus. Mocha picking up their second crystal. And half magic. I'll take that.
Not a bad prize. That's 2 bosses and 2 good prizes for Mocha. Professor Renderer on his way to pick up his lamp. It looks like maybe Mocha's heading towards Skull Woods or taking another crack at Blind here.
Let's see what he does.
Looks like it's the Skullwoods play.
And Professor going through their spiral cave check. So we are only a ether away from go mode.
Yeah, that'd be go mode on Professor Renderer's side, no mode on Mochajones' side. He still needs to pick up his Ice Rod at Catfish and his Cane of Samaria here in Skull Woods. I imagine he'll pick up that cane pretty quickly once he finishes Moth. And we've got a ped check coming up. No whammy, no whammy.
That's one of my favorite game shows.
It is one of the hidden gems of my childhood.
Definitely. And a fan favorite on the anime in the convention game show circuit.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Oh, the stories I could tell about that.
Looks like we've got a Bombos tablet check here. This is an interesting decision without picking up the purple chest. It's going to orphan that purple chest a little bit more.
And Mocha getting grabbed by the Wallmaster. The ultimate whammies of this game. And what do we have at Bombos? We have 10 arrows.
The Gibdo's fighting back today.
Yeah. I don't know what's worse, the Gibdos fighting back or having to deal with that second time.
The Wallmaster believing in show don't tell.
Right.
Having a little bit of trouble in that room, but Mochajones finally makes it through. Looking to pick up a little safety here with the bunny beam. But those fairies are elusive for him.
Or in Mocha's case, the Luna beam, because that turns Sailor Moon into Luna.
And on to Mothula for only 4 tempered sword hits required here, but getting those is easier said than.
Now the interesting thing is, if we were to come in here with the butter sword, it does temper sword damage. So they meant.
Yeah, and a great job by Mocha there, taking down Moth. Yeah, why is that? Why does the gold sword do tempered sword damage?
I believe in the original game that if you went in there with the gold sword, it does no damage at all to him. I believe not.
And is that related to the spike?
I think so also. With that. No, you can magic powder the bunny beams as well. can magic powder them as soon as you see them. I've seen many of runners magic powder the bunny beams right off the get-go.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it works once they start chasing after you. I think you've got a window of time when you first see them, when they're just sitting there spinning, that you can powder them. But once they start chasing you, I think it no longer works.
Right. Okay, thank you on that. The way Mothula's damage is tabulated, that Mothula doesn't take the damage on the spikes. So Gold Sword does spike damage to Mothula. They nerfed it in randomizer. So if we come in there with the Gold Sword, we are going to do Tempered Sword damage to it.
Now, did Mochajones go back in for left side and I fell asleep?
No.
Or did he bolt out after?
He up and left.
A couple people in chat pointing out that this week's Go Mode podcast is all about swords, so you can get all of the details about its behavior in Mothula's arena and a whole lot more if you go listen to the.
Yep. Do we know? Do they? When does the podcasts go up?
That's an excellent question that I wish I knew.
Right. And we're gonna see the professor trying to set up to do Diver Down.
That's right, using the Cane of Samaria here to try to get a clip into the rail, which will allow him to hop into the water and reach the lower level without swimming. A couple of precise inputs here, hopping in and out of the water, but not generally a particularly difficult trick.
Yeah. And if we're able to, and
although a red Stalfos throwing things at you makes it a little bit harder.
right.
Oro filling us in here every other Wednesday. So we had a podcast that was posted yesterday about swords, and we'll expect another one in about 2 weeks' time.
Right. There we go, Professor pulling off the Diver Down glitch.
Yeah, it's a nice little time save here on the left side of Swamp if you can get it pretty quickly. At that point, you know, it's pride that wants you to keep going, and the fact that you've already flooded the key, so you don't really have much choice.
Right, then you gotta go back, unflood it.
Speaking from personal experience, the longer it takes you to get that trick in that particular spot, the higher your heart rate goes up, knowing that if you somehow can't get it, it's going to be a very long fix.
Right.
I believe you have to leave the dungeon, change screens, possibly sacrifice a chicken, spin around 3 times, and then you'll be able to get the key.
And some other things too.
Yeah, I may have missed 1 or 2 steps.
Right. Well, there's always one step that everyone misses. So
Mocha heading over to Ice Palace. This will be some new checks for us here. Left side play not really paying off for Professor Renderer there.
well, as of right, Professor only needing Ether to be in go mode, so dungeon-wise, crystallize. Everyone's all tied up. So we're all square right now. So Professor coming down here to do the other diver down. This is a very fairly new glitch that we found.
Yeah, and even more recently approved. Professor Renderer showing off now the bomb setup for.
There we go.
And hitting it first try.
Right. It's like it's like Link's jet skiing on top of the water without even.
Link gets all the cool.
Right. So Mocha going through the other Penguinator room. So we'll see. He sets up for the.
Yeah, and going back and hitting that switch, generally a good idea. You'll be able to push the block down. Although with the Cane of Samaria and with him probably full clearing Ice Palace, not strictly necessary to go back for the switch, but it's
So we're gonna see the Icebreaker glitch on Mocha's side. Professor taking care of Argus.
And hold the presses, we missed the Ether Medallion being pulled in Ice Palace, so we are officially in no.
Over on Mocha's side.
Yeah, the Penguinator room there, giving him the Ether Medallion.
So Mocha needing to go back and pick up his ice rod. He'll be in go mode.
Yeah, both of these runners got to be feeling pretty good at this point. You know, they've got 3 crystals in the bag in under an hour with a 4th one on the way, not long after. Not many items needed for go mode. In Professor Renderer's case, just 1. So a pretty quick seed so far. And depending on how Professor Renderer and Mochajones route this, could be a dancing close to a PB for these runners.
Apologize for the little bit of lag on Professor's side. Professor.
Yeah, picking up that Ether tablet will now, or Ether pendant, Ether medallion will allow Professor Renderer to skip an awful lot of checks going through Ice Palace, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock.
So Mocha now taking on Cold Stare. And using the Ice Rod for the quick kill.
Very quick work.
Picks up a piece of heart, full heart container, and their 4th crystal. So they take the lead on the crystal side, 4 crystals to 3, with the Ether Medallion in Ice Palace.
Yeah, it ties it up. Professor Renderer picking up the Argus crystal while Mochajones was working his way through Ice Palace.
Right.
Blind better watch out now. Mochajones coming back for revenge with 12 hearts.
And Professor is in go mode. So that's the... Now I can just blitz right through the other dungeons here.
Yeah, Professor Render hitting go mode at about 106 or so. Very quick go mode. Making fairly quick work of Cold Stare there and heading right for Meyer. We'll see him blaze right through, find the big key, and head right to the boss.
Hopefully it's in the front. Hopefully it's within the first couple checks.
So both of these runners on a much faster pace than they put up last week, with both of them being a little over 2 hours last week. This is looking to be quite a bit faster than their week one.
Right. You get all the week one jitters out and everything. So Mocha doing the red cane strats.
And Blind not cooperating.
Nope. At first head down.
Still no blue cane or cape for Mocha here. He's got to be careful. But he does have a blue goo in his pocket.
But down go and takes Blind down.
Meanwhile, Professor Renderer jetting right to the back of Meyer here. He found the big key very quickly and is on his way towards a vitreous fight.
There's a lot of ways you can do that victorious fight. Now the other interesting thing about this is if we don't find those silvers in between now and Ganon's tower, Ganon always tells us where he hid them.
Mocking us.
Right. And if we do find them, he always says, "Oh, my weakness." Down goes victory.
We may never know what strat Professor Renderer used, but we do know it was effective.
It was super effective. Gets the crystal.
Unfortunate bonk for Mocha there, landing on the big rock when he was mirroring.
Right. So we're gonna have a... Oh. Got a shield.
I think a good decision skipping on the shield. You don't want to end up with the lag shield, the mirror shield by accident.
Right. Though sometimes the mirror shield does come in handy. It protects you from laser bridge and everything in Total Rock.
I like to die on laser bridge multiple times, as is tradition.
Right. Now, do you always set the safety up first?
You know, I always think to, and at least 50% of the time I remember to go out the door before I try to get the laser bridge checks.
Right.
One more dungeon left to go for Professor Renderer here, heading right up the Turtle Rock. This was nice routing. He can go right over to Ganon's tower afterward.
But Turtle Rock's also a very long, one of the longer dungeons in the game.
Yeah, you get your money's worth in Turtle Rock.
One dungeon, most of the time, I don't like to see as a crystal dungeon. I'd rather have it as a pendant, but I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and Lumaga pointing out that based on what he knows of the DaddyGamers, Mocha's mentor here, that there's a good chance he'll send Mocha up to Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod, hoping that it's in Turtle Rock, which generally is not a bad play, but we know is not going to work out today.
Nope. trying to last location it as well.
Yeah, not bad routing on Mocha's part here. Just unfortunate that a critical item is in one of the only checks that he's orphaned so far.
In that room, that first room where you pick up the key, that room's always tricky. You gotta exit that room going backwards.
Laser Bridge not having a monopoly on the mean lasers.
Right. Well, there's the big key, so we can just make our way right now to the end of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that big key will allow Ren to steal the key down one floor and skip the lava chest.
Right. Mocha's still trying to pick up catch the fairy.
Professor Render opting to play it safe here, picking up the big chest just in case it has a necessary small key. You can skip this one, and there's a pretty good chance you'll be okay, but maybe feeling like they're ahead and not wanting to take the risk of having to double back, come upstairs.
Mocha into the cutscene chest. Professor getting the map. So we are one dungeon, Mocha being one dungeon behind Professor.
One dungeon and an all-important ice rod.
Right.
Or if Professor Renderer is going to pick up any safety fairies on his way through here, or GT. I think he's running a little low on safeties at this point.
Right.
And opting to take the safety door. We can all do the safety dance for the safety door.
Not familiar with that one.
You're not familiar with Men at Work?
Oh. Never familiar with them. Not familiar with the song quote.
Safety Dance is possibly the only song I know from the group Men at Work.
Ah. And there's the red mail. So the red mail being on Laser Bridge.
Not a bad find.
Nope.
If there are any Australian pop music fans in the chat that would like to clue me in on any of Men at Work's other great hits, I'm all ears.
I got a friend who lives down there in Australia, but probably by far also where one of my favorite game shows originated from, too.
And which one is that?
Sail the Century.
A classic.
Yeah. As we make our... That's the one I know of that that Bum posted, come from a land down under. Making
Tempered
quick
sword,
work.
half magic, Trinex shouldn't be too much of an issue here.
Nope. And we're on 12 hearts for both racers.
Mochajones giving us our first glimpse at a vitreous fight.
Down goes Trinex on Professor's side. So now I post to everyone and picks up the mushroom. And now I post to everyone in chat. We have 22 chests in Ganon's tower. Which one did Ganon hide the big key in? So, Monkey, what do you think that's hiding in?
I'm usually partial to 8 or 19, given that those are part of my username. So I'm going to go with 8 today.
And
How about you?
I'm going to go with number 9. It's the number I always go with.
And which checks those are will, of course, depend on whether we see a right side route, a left side route, perhaps a dark magician.
Chat getting their guesses in. Give them
Lady Box Thief trying to snipe both of the commentators' numbers.
Right. So we are going right side. In 1, the compass. In 2, we have bombs over to the left side. Big key on the torch in 3. We need 1 key. The big key plus 1 small key to go up Ganon's tower. And
Very
we have
fast
it.
Ganon's basement.
Right. And everyone was...
Yeah, not a lot of guesses today, and no correct guesses at all.
No. No sale on that one. Having a little bit of trouble with the mimics.
Although Keg in the Closet being the winner of the big key guessing game, and the closest guess being 6.
Yeah.
So now we get to see the dreaded gauntlet.
Yeah. The only thing that stands between Link and Agana. The Gauntlet of Terror.
So what do you think is going through Professor Renderer's mind right now? It's an hour 28 into the seed. They're already climbing Ganon's tower on their way to Aga 2 and the Ganon fight itself. Do you think that they feel ahead at this point? Do you think the pressure's building?
I think he kind of feels ahead. Hopefully he's probably thinking not to make any mistakes that could to catch up. That could cause Mocha to catch up. Yeah. Probably thinking, okay, what's my execution, getting the execution down. Because because going through the gauntlet can be very dangerous. You know, this is one of the hardest parts of the game, I would say.
Yeah, he's making good work of these early rooms. And unfortunately, on Mocha's side, Lumaga was right. They did head up to Turtle Rock, hoping for the ice rod to be here. We know it's not here, so that's going to be even more time lost for Mocha.
Right. So Professor heading over to the Land Mall 2 fight. Land Mall 1's easy. Land Mall 2, you get that thing in the corner of the room that's shooting laser balls of lasers at you.
Just enough to be annoying.
Right. But down goes Land Mall. As we make our way up to the 5th floor.
The Wizrobe dance.
Right.
Well
Nice
done by
work.
Professor Renderer there.
Yeah. I've only been able to pull that off once so far.
It's not as easy as he made it look, for sure.
Nope. Now into the torch room here. Now he's got to be careful about from here on out because you got to wait till you hear the chime.
And why is that?
You can have the tendency to despawn the rest of the tower.
That would be unfortunate.
Right. You gotta fall down the pit and do that part all over again. Needs to get the key from one of these Helmosaurs. We're just a few rooms away now.
Got Moldorm's revenge, Aga's revenge, and then time to make bacon.
Yep. Picks up 100 rupees.
Maybe hoping for a Hail Mary Silvers there.
Right. We'll find out from Ganon where they are. Two hits with the Bacon Sword. Down goes Moldorm. Checks the validation chest. 300 rupees. So the $1 million question is, the million rupee question is, where were the silvers?
You know, I'm gonna play the numbers game and go with Pod.
I'm gonna say either Pod or an Eastern.
They've checked just about everything in the overworld, so there's not a whole lot of
Right.
overworld checks that they could possibly have been in.
Could be in Hera. Because we had 3, or it could be with the witch too. Could have been that fetch quest because we got the mushroom.
That's right, getting that mushroom on Trinex. I don't think anybody's looking to do a fetch quest immediately before entering Ganon's Tower.
No. And Light World, yep. There's somewhere in the Light World. Mocha going to Mimic Cave. Meanwhile, Professor...
Not a lot of health here dropping into this Ganon fight, although he does have some blue goo as a backup.
Has to be careful here. And let's see. Did not see what the quote was. Ganon always has some funny quote or as well to tell us.
Yeah, and I just learned this week that it's always going to be 3 screens of text. Just like in the vanilla game.
Right. So on to
shout outs to my mentor Kern from this week, who produced a more than an hour-long video just on Ganon speed strats.
The one thing that always troubles me with Ganon is Silverless.
Yeah, we'll see how Professor Renderer does. He made quick work of phases 1 and 2. On to phase 3 here.
I believe if I'm correct on this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's 12 slashes, I believe, with the level 3 sword.
Yeah, I believe that's right. Either the tempered or gold sword, they'll both be 12 spins for Silverless.
Right. It's getting that window down when.
Good point. By any amount of money, there are quite a lot of checks in Ganon's Tower, and they were correct playing the numbers. Ganon's Tower was the answer on silvers. Oh, it didn't look like Professor Renderer got the torch glitch there, which is going to cause them to use quite a bit more magic in order to get this Silverless.
Right.
And having already used the blue goo, they've got to be careful not to run out of magic here.
It's 12 spins, 24 slashes. Oh, and he takes the spill.
That looked like an intentional fall there. They may have been doing the math on how much magic they had left to finish the fight and realize that there's no sense in wasting any more time just to run out of magic later. They're going to go get some safeties here, get a couple of potions, and come back and give it another try.
And he.
And a laser bridge death for Mocha here. Not a big deal with the safety door having been taken. A couple more checks here, and then they're going to get the bad news that ice rod on laser bridge is not the answer.
Nope. Professor letting out some stress with the sword.
My therapist says it's very healthy.
Right.
Climbing back up the pyramid here for a second shot at Ganon. Since we already did Aga twice and we did all the light word bosses twice, why not do Ganon twice?
Right.
Ganon feeling hungry tonight.
They must have didn't give him his midnight snack yet.
Looks like he's not quite going to get the phase 2 there in one cycle.
No. And Mocha checking out Pod. Mocha's going over
There's a lot of
Pod.
checks here. It makes sense from a numbers perspective, but it's just not going to work out today. Although Kupo pointing out that it is a spot that Mocha can check here while preserving the portal, and perhaps they can head over to Catfish after Pod with the hope of preserving the portal. So there's some hope that they'll be able to find the ice rod sooner rather than later. Getting the torch glitch that time, which will very much help this Silverless fight.
Right. think that was the very first glitch I learned how to do.
I would say that's not typical. For surrendering, doing a good job here, getting 2 hits per lamp cycle. You can get 3, although that's pretty hard to do and almost impossible using just the lamp. But you know, they're doing a pretty solid job of getting a couple hits per lamp cycle.
So Mocha going through pod, and Professor almost down goes the pig on Professor's side. We just gotta wait for that bridge to form, Professor. I've seen seeds where player defeats the runner defeats them and they go off the edge. Yeah.
And with an official race time GG time of 1:41:08, Professor Renderer is going to take down this week 2 match.
Right. So get your GGs in chat for Professor and Entium.
Yeah, pretty solid race overall for Professor Renderer. I think anytime you can be in the 140s, you're not going to be unhappy with that. Not a whole lot of mistakes, good execution, good routing. You know, maybe a little lucky to hit that catfish check early and avoid the trap of the pendant dungeons, but overall very well done. As we see Mocha making their way through pod here. Good to see that our uncle is still healthy despite giving up a part of his heart. We've got Mocha checking out the dark maze here, having already found Bombos in Palace of Darkness. And we've got Professor Renderer and Etium joining us here. GG guys, congrats on the win.
GG.
GG.
A very solid race all around, great execution. How were you feeling going into GT? Did you feel ahead?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I know I screwed up on the Mimic 2 room. It kind of cost me a bit of time there. Yeah, that's like the only thing that's kind of screwed me up. And then I took that intentional fall after I missed the torch glitch with the fire rod, just so I can get some safeties to the road, which was a fair assessment. And honestly, if it wasn't for Eddie calling me to say like, "Hey, go for it's King's Tomb." That's the name. When I found the flute, we would have like said pod, pen Eastern.
Yeah, it was actually the catfish play that put you ahead, and that was
Yeah.
very interesting routing, going right to catfish as soon as you got Dark World access. Tell me about that.
It's mostly because we just got it, and I saw Pendant Pod. I'm like, sort of, but then like I saw the mitts. We got the mitts and how to hype gate, and Etium was saying to me, yeah, probably should leave out Pendant Pod and instead go for the mount over towards pyramid. For the pyramid ledge. I was actually heading towards the pyramid ledge. He had told me to go to catfish after that. It ended up being the ice rod, which I was after hearing that. Honestly, yeah, I had a feeling that the ice rod would have been what led me ahead, because that was what kind of hinged on it. Like the fact that showing up on a really ice rod at such a awful location, right, like there, whatever it was, ended up being what put me ahead. Yeah, that kind of felt really good to get that. And we played that like so well, and yeah, in our practice race, I got some nice bit of advice from Etium, and that was on display here with the way I played the route Turtle Rock and such.
Yeah, there were quite a few items in this seed that were in odd locations, and Mocha managed to keep pace with you, finding all of them, except for that ice rod, which eluded him all the way to the end here. Mocha and his Mentor TheDaddyGamers here as well. GG guys.
GG.
GG.
I hate ice rod hunts.
Yeah, I totally get you. That I hate those with a fiery passion as well.
Where was it?
It was on catfish.
Oh my word! That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were talking about that.
Heading that direction now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and it was like, hey, if I was heading towards Pyramid Ledge right now, we might as well get the catfish out of the way. That's what ended up being what got me.
Yeah, that's a route I like to do a lot, especially when you have the boots. First thing into the Dark World, just do Hype Cave to Pyramid to Catfish. If you have the boots, the checks are really not that bad, and it's just nice to get them out of the way, especially when you kind of don't have a clear idea of where to go next. So yeah, just awful checks and you just want to get them out of the way.
Yeah, particularly after having already cleared Zora, that's a very easy one to orphan, as we saw on Mocha's side.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's such an out of the way location most of the time, and if it shows on catfish and this late that late in the seed, it's like, yeah, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, Render initially wanted to go to Pod, and I guess what I was thinking is if we could find the mirror first, then we could do Pod and Eastern together, and that would be a lot nicer. So let's just go to Catfish now and get that out of the way, and go to Crystal Dungeon since we had Skullwoods and Thieves Town. And by the way, I really have to compliment Professor on that Mothula fight. 6 hearts and Master Sword. That is not an easy fight at all.
No, he made it look a lot easier than it is.
He did a really, really good job on that fight.
Yeah, Fire Rods is the way you gotta go most of the time, and I had a green potion at that, so I burned that just to make sure I had a few more shots, and I played a little recklessly near towards the end of it, but I managed to get it out of the way, and it felt good to get that kill.
Yeah, Mocha, both of our runners doing a great job on Mothula. Mocha took down Mothula pretty handily as well. I was impressed to see both runners taking down really pretty much all the bosses, with the exception of Blind being a little bit mean to Mocha. But very good execution for the most part here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Tell me about those fairy dodges, Mocha, on the way to Blind.
I don't want to talk about that.
Those fairies were
what?
mean. He tried several times to capture a fairy on his way to Blind, and all of them dodged his net, and then ended up taking a death to Blind, which was definitely unfortunate.
Yeah, that definitely threw me off the rest of the run.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
see how
that-
that could weigh on you.
Yeah, if you don't get those safeties, especially with the fairy, if it just that RNG the way it moves around, the way that kind of happens, and if you don't get it as much as the way that it comes to you and it get the fairy, yeah, that is gonna be a really hard time, and especially even if you get the heart out of the pot before you enter blind.
Yeah, and the other difference there was Professor Renderer picking up the blue cane before going to Thieves Town, which was an added safety that wasn't available to Mocha.
Oh.
Where was the blue cane?
Blue cane was.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I mean, it was, let's see, it was either Bombo's tablet or Mirror K45.
Maybe Graveyard Ledge.
It probably would have been like I skipped Cape 45. I
Yeah,
did
it
Bomb
wasn't-
Tablet.
Neither of
It was
them
in the,
checked
okay.
45.
I just looked in the chat. Ice Rock Cave.
Oh my word.
You missed out. Oh yeah.
I mean, there were so many times like you know, I'm trying to think how do we save time, and he just kept finding items for dungeons. I mean, it got to the point where because of the death to blind, we did Death Mountain pretty early to get some safeties and probably some progression, and it's oh my gosh, Thieves Town, Skullwood, Swamp, and Ice. Take your pick. Like he
Yeah.
had all the items, and now the red. Oh no, not the red cane.
I got red
Didn't get the
cane.
red cane until Skullwoods.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seed definitely opened up very quickly. We had go mode at 1.0 and change. The professor's stream was lagging a bit, so I don't know the exact time, but it was around 106 on go mode, which is very quick.
It felt jet.
Yeah.
If you found the ice rod.
That was the trick.
Yeah. That yeah. Like I said, having it on Catfish is pretty bad. But if you did it in a way where if you had done Pyramid Ledge then to Catfish after Hype Cave, if you're seeing it just Pendant Pod, then it feels so good to get it, and it puts yourself ahead in your perspective. It depends on like, hey, if like it sort of make you think if in the event they somehow did the same route, we would have been a little bit closer. And those kind of weird execution problems may have put a little bit closer, but then again, it's all about that. It's just ice rod hunts aren't fun, but if you get the ice rod that close by, then it feels so good to at least get it out of the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did want to give a quick shout out for Mocha here. I didn't get a chance to mention it during the stream. Doing a lot of good work with the Extra Life charity. Do you want to say something briefly about Extra Life?
Yeah, it's my 7th year actually doing it. I'm actually approaching 10K lifetime raised, and all the money goes towards our local children's hospital, which for us is Norton's in Louisville, Kentucky. And especially with everything going on in the world right now,
Right.
every cent goes towards something to help the kids, either towards research or towards education or towards treatments and all that. So it's a good cause. I love it.
I really thank you for that. Like that's honestly such a heartwarming thing to hear.
It's fantastic work, yeah. And the charity's raised over $70 million since 2008 for children. It's a great cause. So if you get a chance, if you like gaming and you like helping kids, check out Extra Life.
Yes.
Definitely. It's one of the best charities for gaming out there.
It most definitely is, and I met a whole bunch of wonderful people doing it. One of our team members, DJ Darkwing, is also in the tournament, and I think it's his 2nd or 3rd year doing it with us. So we actually do a lot of rando just for our Extra Life events, and that's kind of what got me into it.
Nice.
it's such a heartwarming thing to hear that for something as a simple little ROM hack of a really old game from the 90s, made in like the 2010s. This little silly little game that we play is enough to raise that much charity, especially in these trying times.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Well, congrats again, Professor Renderer. You can go buy yourself a celebratory pizza and then study up for week 3.
Yeah.
And chat, don't forget to give our runners and their mentors a follow on Twitch for all the hard work that they're putting in for this tournament. Also to our tracker as well, behind the scenes, keeping us up to date and keeping you guys on the stream up to date with what they had and what was what.
Yeah, thanks a lot, BumRush.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for doing the commentary, and thanks to the trackers and restreamers and everything, and everyone putting this on. I think this is a really, really great tournament for the community.
Yeah, and I'm gonna echo the same thing. Thanks to the Restreamer and trackers, viewers, commentators, everyone who's putting on the tournament, Timp and Dante and Herpy Durfy, and also the people behind the scenes as well, who are also working on as the admins. If it wasn't for this tournament coming for a second round, I would not be where I am right now in the current situation, where I'm actually getting better at this game.
And that's what it's all about. It's a great tournament.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here. My dad's got some important stuff to do, so all right, catch y'all later. Thanks again, and I'll take it easy.
All right, good luck next week, Professor.
Thank
Good luck
you.
next week, Mocha.
Right, Professor.
Thanks.
Bye.
It's been fun.
Good fun as well.
Yeah, it's new racing to me, so definitely fun.
Great.
Great job. All right, Yoko, you want to wrap things up?
Right. Coming up, let me pull up the schedule here. So coming up, we got a couple more races to finish out. We got tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That we have Shaki versus Kepol coming up, hopefully, and then at 4 p.m. Eastern time we have Slaysetter. No, we have McMonkey. Sorry, McMonkey versus Theme, and that's at 5 o'clock.
That's right, 5 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be racing against Krithel, week 2.
Good luck to you.
And that one is scheduled for a restream here on the Go Mode podcast channel. So tune back in to see if my playing is any better or worse than my commentary.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
So with that, wherever you are, I'm Yoko.
And
And until next time, have a great night. We'll see you back here for more Link to the Past Randomizer. Take care.